Hello, and thank you for joining us for this info session today. We want to thank you for your interest and for your application for admission to the Lassonde School of Engineering at York University. It really does mean a lot to us that you've chosen to apply to us. I'm Katrina, and I'm here to give you some information on what comes next with your application now that you've applied. I'm joined by Harj, our International Student Recruitment Officer, and Jamil, one of our ambassadors who's also an international student. We know that you're making some big decisions on where to go to school next year and that the application process can be confusing. So we know that it can sometimes be stressful to navigate, and that's why we're here to help explain what the next steps are. Here. So before we get started, just a few quick notes. If you have a question, please post it in the Q&A of the chat, and we'll answer some of the questions live, and we'll answer some of the questions directly in the chat. We expect that this session will be about 40 minutes long, and it will include the question and answer section at the end of the session. The session is also being recorded, and we will be sharing it and posting it afterwards. And what we're hoping that you'll learn today is how to track your application and what to expect next, and where to go for help and ask questions, and what your next steps are. All right. So with that, we're going to talk about tracking your application now that you've submitted it, what's involved in getting an offer of admission, what happens after you get an offer of admission, and then we'll take your questions and list lots of different ways for you to connect with us if you have further questions. Okay. So because students come from all over the world and have all kinds of different curricula that they're joining us with and different levels of education. We're not going to go specifically, we're not going to be able to go specifically in a presentation to cover every scenario. However, just to let you know in general, what you need to do to complete your application is really to submit all of your documents, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in detail. And so essentially it'll be the documents that you have so far, and if you're currently doing any studies, which most students who are applying for school are, documents which show what your course registrations are. The email that you used on your application is the email that we're going to be in touch with you on. So if you're at this webinar, that means that you are getting our emails since we invited you via email. But really the best place to be checking your application status is in your My File portal. And there you can check the application status tab for updates and details. And then when we're requesting documents, those are in the supporting documents tab. And if there's another update, it is often in the letters tab. All right. So just what some of the commonly required documents are. If you are currently in secondary school or high school, we'll be looking for your previous year's results. So if you're on a curriculum that has board level results, so, for example, if you're on the GCE curriculum, we'll be asking for your O levels. And if you sat AAS levels, we'll be asking for those. If you're joining us from the CAPE curriculum, we'll be asking for CXE. That sort of thing. And if what I'm saying doesn't make any sense to you at all, and you're like, I don't know what that means, then we're just going to be looking for the grades from your previous years. So if your high school terminates in grade 12, then we're looking for your grade 11 results. If it terminates in grade 13, we're looking for your grade 12 results. So everything from your previous years. And then we are looking for what's happening with your studies this year. So some curriculums provide predicted results. Some curriculums provide interim results of your current year. I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about if we require an English proficiency test or not. But if you are required to submit one, then we are looking for that as well. And again, I'll talk about that a little bit more. If you are currently a post-secondary student, so if you're doing college or university studies, then you can provide your final secondary school results, whatever that may be, whether it's boards or your school results, and then any other final results you already have. So if you've done more than a year of college or university, send us those final results. And then again, your current enrollments and your English proficiency test results, if you are required to do that. So I'll talk a little bit more about English proficiency. So right here, this link, we actually do accept two more tests than this. I'm just showing the two most common ones. However, there's a really good description at this website if you need to submit an English proficiency test or not. And it lists the countries that we do not require it from, and what some of the exceptions are. Essentially, if you are from a country where English is the primary language, you are not required to submit a test. And if you've done studies that are fully in English, then you do not need to submit a test. But otherwise, then you are required to submit a proficiency test. TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo are the ones that we most commonly see from students, but we do accept other tests as well. Whichever one works best for you is fine. I just want to point out that our engineering programs have slightly more rigorous requirements in that we're looking for minimums on each sections of the test. So the overall test score that's required is the same as our other programs. It's just what those minimums are. And TOEFL is in the process of changing their grades. So as of this January, so as of last month, this is the new grading scale, but everything prior to January is that grading scale. So yeah, if you have this grade and you're like, oh my goodness, what's 4.5? That's okay. It's just that they changed their grading scale at the beginning of 2026. Okay, so again, without being able to speak really specifically to each curriculum, our prerequisite courses for all of our programs are the same. It just translates to each curriculum. So for the programs that we offer at the Kiel campus, these are generally what our prerequisites are. If you're joining us from a curriculum that has more than one math course in the senior year, so the US curriculum or the AP curriculum, for example, has multiple math courses, we will require more than one math course when it says maths here. So our digital media program, for example, only requires one math if you're in a curriculum with more than one, but all of our other programs require two. So in this case, again, if you're coming from one of those curriculums, it's really good to check exactly what the requirements are, but just giving you the general idea. So our engineering programs require maths, physics, and chemistry. Our Bachelor of Arts in Computer Science just requires the maths, where the Bachelor of Science requires the maths plus either chemistry or physics. Either is fine. Earth and Atmospheric Science. Oh, sorry, that's my error. I should have deleted this. That's the Ontario curriculum. My apologies. Earth and Atmospheric Science requires maths and physics, and we strongly recommend chemistry for it, whereas a digital media requires one math. Just to let you know what the difference is here between these BA degrees and the BSc degrees. The computer science and the computer security, the programs are 100% exactly the same, regardless of the difference here in the degree. So the exact same courses to complete that major. The difference is extra courses that you take outside of your major. So to get a Bachelor of Science degree, you do need to take science courses such as physics or chemistry, but they're not actual computing courses. To do a Bachelor of Arts degree, you don't have to do courses like physics and chemistry, and you will do more courses from the traditional liberal arts areas. But again, the computer science part, the computer security part is exactly the same. It's because as disciplines, computer science and computer security really do cross the boundaries of the traditional arts and the sciences. So we allow our students to do whichever program or whichever degree option they are more interested in. And then we do also have two programs at our Markham campus. We have first year engineering. So just the first year of our engineering program, you can choose to do it at the Markham campus. And then all engineering students from second year on are at the main Kiel campus. The admission requirements are exactly the same at the Markham campus. It's not any easier to get in at the Markham campus, for example, or the Kiel campus because it is the same program. It's just a different location for first year. Our computer science for software development program at the Markham campus, that all 4 years of that program are at Markham. It does have slightly different requirements. We only require one senior level math for the programs that do have more than one senior level math. And we also accept biology as one of the science courses. This program is only offered as a science option. There's no non-science option there. And again, I assume you've already looked at what the requirements are specific to your region, but just to give you a general overview of what we are looking at or looking for when we're reviewing your application for admission. Okay. So for students that are joining us from high school, here's some of the averages that we are looking for from those curriculum. Now, I do want to let you know that we do have some flexibility on these. So if your average is close to the average that is posted there, again, I encourage you to continue with your application. You've already applied. And we are going to review all applications when we receive documents. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second, okay? And you'll see that the requirements for our programs are a little bit different. And actually, again, our computer science and computer security programs, the requirements are actually a little bit closer to this area in here. Those programs have been a little less competitive over the last few years. All right. And again, so Lassonde, did I have it? Yes, perfect. So just to let you know, if you are missing any of those prerequisite courses, or maybe if your final result in the prerequisite course for the program you're applying to is a little bit lower than what our posted requirement is, that's okay, because we are going to consider you for admission with our Lassonde Academy alternate pathway. So our engineering, for example, Canada is very unique globally in that we require a chemistry course. That is a Canada-wide requirement in engineering, even if the engineering discipline doesn't usually truly need chemistry. So for example, software engineering, computer engineering really doesn't need chemistry to become that kind of an engineer. But again, this is a nationwide requirement for engineering in Canada. So we know that a lot of students joining us from around the world don't have that chemistry requirement, and that's okay, because if all of your other results are strong, we can offer you admission through the Lassonde Academy alternate pathway. So what Lassonde Academy is these are courses that we offer. We offer these 4 courses. So we have chemistry, physics, math, and then this advanced functions is sort of the algebra part of math. Like it's part 1 of the overall math courses, because some students only need this one part. These are fully online courses. They are free of charge to students that we offer them to. And they are self-paced and asynchronous, but there are some deadlines in the course where you have to submit assignments that get graded by instructors. So there are real instructors in the course. So again, if you're missing any of those requirements, or if you have taken the course, but maybe your result is a little low in the course, that is okay. We still encourage you to continue to complete your application. And then as soon as we receive your documents, if your overall profile is strong, just except for that one thing, then we can make you a conditional offer of admission with Lassonde Academy. The Lassonde Academy courses are expected to begin in June, and then they will run through the summer. They need to be completed by about the middle of August. If you are still completing your studies through June and July, that's okay. If you work intensely in the course, it's completely reasonable to complete a Lassonde Academy course in about 4 weeks. So if you're able to start it earlier, that's great, but we understand Some students are writing their final exams and their final board exams. They're not able to start their Lassonde Academy course until later. That is perfectly okay. It just means you'll need to work a little more intensely on the course when you are able to do it. And even if you don't need to do Lassonde Academy, because we have all of this content available in online courses, we open a version of the courses up that don't have, the assignments and that in it for students to go through, and they can review all of the materials to use it as an optional refresher before classes begin. Okay. So also going back to the averages that I showed a little earlier, again, like I said, if you're a little bit below the averages that we showed, I don't want you to get too worried about it just yet. Again, please do continue to submit your documents. If your results are very close to the requirements that we're looking for, we're going to reach out to you and give you the option, this is optional, to do a digital interview. So what a digital interview is, it's completely online. There's nobody sitting on the other side, but you get asked a few questions and you get a chance to answer those questions just on video. And then we will go through later. Again, nobody sitting there while you're actually doing the interview. We go through later, and that interview gets rated. It does get reviewed, and if you do well on that, then we can sort of add your score on that to what your average is, and then that together can bring your total score up to meet the admission requirement. So we're just putting the finishing touches on putting the interview together for this year. So again, if you're a little bit below and if we have your results, we'll be sending out personalized emails to say, hey, we think you might benefit from this. And again, it's optional. If you already have an offer of admission, then this is completely irrelevant because you won't need to do it. Okay. So just letting you a little bit, know a little bit how this whole process works. So you've already all done this first step of submitting your application for admission. So what's happening here is this column is the things that you do, and then this is what we're doing here at York. So you've submitted your application for admission, and then York University has sent you an email confirmation that we've received your application. And in that email, we've included your York University reference number. So that's a 9-digit number. If this is the first time you've applied to York, it will begin with a 22. If you have previously applied, then you should still have the reference number from your previous application, but it likely begins with a 2. There's also the link to my file, which is actually pretty straightforward. It's yorku.ca/myfile, or even if you Google yorku.ca/myfile, but you need your reference number to log into your MyFile. So MyFile is your admissions portal. And then the next thing that York does is we actually look at your application, and then we say, these are the documents that we're going to need from you, and they are listed in your MyFile. So what's important for you is to check that. So make sure that you know which documents we're asking of you, and if it doesn't make sense, contact us and ask us questions. So that's really what we're here for today, just to say, please contact us, please ask. There are many applications that say that they require an English proficiency test, but actually you will be exempted from it. Our application system isn't really quite smart enough to usually make that differentiation. So if you have completely been an English median, all of your studies, again, anybody that's on the Cambridge curriculum doesn't need to submit English proficiency if your studies have been fully in English medium, but your application may require it. Just reach out to us and say, just confirming if I need this. Sometimes we just need additional high school documents. Like sometimes we'll need documents to show that all 4 years of your high school have been in English medium, for example. So we'll say, just get us these documents, but you don't necessarily need to do that. So again, contact us if you have any questions, anything with any clarifications. And then your next step is to submit those documents. And when you submit that, we review those documents. And then there's 3 possible outcomes. If we have all of the documents that we need, then we can offer you admission. Admission at this stage is usually conditional admission. And what that means is we're still waiting for you to finalize your results and send us in your final documents. And then we review your final documents. If you are completely done all of your studies, you're not currently doing any studies and you're sending us final documents, then we can make a final offer of admissions because nothing is current. So again, the first option is you could be offered admission. We could review your documents and we could say, oh, okay, oh, we didn't realize this. We're going to ask you for more documents. So we ask you for more documents. Or sometimes we have everything that you can provide right now, and you've submitted it. And sometimes we say, oh, we just need to wait and we're going to wait to see some more results. So maybe if you submitted your documents last year and we didn't have your current year interim grades, we might have just said, we're going to wait till you get us those interim grades. So if you had college or university studies and your term ended in December, and you haven't sent us those results yet, we might just be waiting on those. Whatever it is, we will update my file and we will also send an email with an update, right? So if we're requiring additional documents or we're awaiting future results, then this whole cycle just continues until a final decision is made. So you submit your documents. Every time you submit your documents, we review your application again. And then we will let you know if we are looking for anything else. And then it just sort of goes back and forth. So again, this is continued until a final decision is made. If if you are made an offer of admission, then the next steps for you are to accept your offer of admission and pay the deposit. When we have your acceptance and we've received your deposit, then York University will issue the PAL, so the provincial attestation letter that gets issued in your MyFile, and that's what you need to apply for a study permit to come to Canada. So again, what happens after we make you an offer of admission? If you choose to accept us, you accept your offer of admission, which you can do in your MyFile. If you've applied also on the OUAC application, your MyFile will direct you to that. And then again, to get your PAL, we require that we receive the enrollment deposit, which is $2,000 Canadian. There's information on how to pay this with the offer of admission. And then once we issue you your PAL, we strongly encourage you to apply for your study permit as soon as possible. So as soon as you have your PAL, we strongly encourage you to apply for your study permit. It does take some time to receive a study permit for the review from Canada. So we really just encourage you to do that as soon as possible. And then that's your earliest priority. And then you can move forward with things like applying for residence and or arranging housing. So if you want to live in on-campus residence, that application is in your MyFile. But if you want to look for other housing, then that isn't necessarily in MyFile, but you want to be looking into that. And then you start to enroll in your courses in your MyFile. So you're able to start to enroll in courses as early as the middle of May to actually enroll in courses, but you can begin the process because you have to set up your actual York University account, for example, and you can do that at any point after you accept your offer of admission. For these, I do want to let you know that you do not need to wait and you should not wait to enroll in courses while you wait for your study permit. So you apply for your study permit and then that that step is done and you need to continue with the other steps. If you wait to enroll in courses until you get your study permit, if you don't get your study permit till August, for example, it's very late to enroll in courses and the selection in courses is very, very low. So there is nothing stopping you from enrolling in your courses. Uh, so please go ahead and do that. And then the last step is meeting those admission conditions. So that is submitting your final results. In some cases, we know that the results don't come in until August. Some start to come in May and June. So you submit those final documents. If you're required to do a Lassonde Academy course, you will also be doing that. Again, you can start that in June. Again, that's another thing that you don't wait while you're waiting on your study permit decision. All right, so I mentioned that there is a $2,000 deposit that's required for the PAL to be issued. That $2,000 is a deposit in that it's deducted from your total tuition that's owed. So in terms of paying your tuition, you pay it's not exactly half is due in the fall. You pay for the courses that you have in the fall, and that's due in September. And then you pay for the courses that you have in the winter term, and that's due in January. So if you have the exact same number of courses in the fall and the winter terms, then it would be 50% of your tuition, but you're just paying for the block of courses that you have in that upcoming term. So here's what our international tuition rates are for this current year. Um, they haven't been completely finalized yet for next year, but they usually only change by about 2 or 3%. So that just gives you an idea of what the tuition is, again, in Canadian dollars. And you can see that our different programs have different tuition. And this is for the entire year, for an entire year for the full course load. So if you take less courses, the tuition would be a little bit lower. All right, and I'm going to turn it over to Harj to share a little bit about some of our automatic entrance scholarships.
Thank you, Katrina. Yeah, so we have some automatic entrance scholarships. These depend on your final admission average. Um, for students who don't have their final results, your scholarship offer that you have right now or that you will receive when you get an offer admission will be based on perhaps your predicted results or grade 11 results. The actual scholarship will be determined when we have your final results. Um, and there's different tiers of scholarship. Um, for anybody with a 90% average or equivalent, over 90%, 90 plus or equivalent, um, the maximum scholarship is 15,000 in year one, years two, three, and four. It's renewable. Minimum GPA requirements would need to be met, and the renewable amount is 7,500. Now, this is applicable to all undergraduate programs at York, with the exception of engineering programs, computer science, and computer security. So every other program at York would be eligible for the 15,000. Um, for engineering, computer science, and computer security, these scholarships are capped at 10,000. Sorry, I was going to say pounds. $10,000 in year one. That's even if your GPA is 90 percent or over. Um, and if you are in between the 75 to 79 range, then you get a one-time 5,000. So anybody above 80% would get $10,000 renewable to 5,000 in years. So there's a typo from me in the second row of scholarship. So ignore that. The renewable amount is $5,000. And if you are a transfer student from either university or college and you have a 75% or above GPA, you will get a one-time 2,500 scholarship. If you have any questions about that, you can put them in the chat or you can ask them once we've finished the presentation. Back to you, Katrina.
Thank you. There we go. All right. So with that, we would like to take any questions that you might have. Harj, Jamil, do we have any questions waiting for us?
So we do have a question, and it's just about how long or what date are offers usually made by, and when do they need to accept it?
Okay. Yeah, that is a great question. So again, this is hard to answer because it really depends on where you're applying from, because it depends on when we will have enough of your results to be able to make an offer of admission. So we have been making offers of admission really since December, again, depending on what your educational background is. Usually, if you're in high school, we usually make the majority of our offers of admission sort of January, February, March. Again, because we want to see usually some of your current year results. So when you're able to get in either those interim results or predicted results, again, depending on what your actual school offers for you. So we are currently making offers of admission. For offers of admission that are made prior to the beginning of April, the your deadline to accept your offer of admission is May 1. If you receive an offer of admission a little bit later, then it's usually like 2 or 3 weeks from the date that we made you that offer of admission. Um, so if you have received an offer of admission and you have that May 1 deadline to let us know, um, if something comes up that you maybe need a little bit of extra time to decide where you want to go, please do reach out to us. We are very open and willing to grant an extension to give you that because we know that there's different deadlines in different places. However, again, if you are looking to come to Canada, we do really strongly encourage you to be accepting as soon as possible so that you can apply for that study permit as soon as possible. And you do have that extra step after getting that offer of admission that you do need to have your deposit paid. So that takes a few days. It takes a few days from when you pay that deposit for the transfer to come to York, and then we will provide the provincial attestation letter. Those we provide on a daily basis. So then the business day that after we receive your deposit, you will receive that letter in your My File. So we do get those to you as quickly as we have your funds.
I can answer the question that's in the chat or Q&A from Anonymous. They're asking if they have an 80% plus average, how much scholarship would they receive in the computer science program? So that will be capped at $10,000 in year one. The $15,000 scholarships are not available for engineering, computer science, and computer security. So the maximum a student could get is 10,000 in year one, and they're renewable 5,000 each year in year two, year three, year four, and minimum GPA requirements do apply. There's a question about from Rupinder about when and how students can choose co-op. Do you want to answer
That
that?
is, yeah, that is a great question. And just to let you know, we're going to have a whole lot of information sessions coming up, and you've even received some emails about it. But I know there isn't a co-op session yet, so we will have more details on co-op in future information sessions. So our co-op program at Lassonde, so co-op is available for all of our programs at the Lassonde School of Engineering. So all the programs that I listed before, co-op is an option and it begins in second year. So it's not something that you need to be concerned with at this point in time because it's available starting in second year. It's non-competitive to join our co-op program. You do need to have a minimum GPA to be eligible for it, but that GPA is a C plus, which is what the average is that you need to be in an honors level program. So an honors level program is a 4-year program. So co-op is only available if you are doing the honors level program, a 4-year program. So you just need to have the GPA to be eligible to be in that. So again, it's not competitive, and you have to attend 3 info sessions, and some of them are even offered as webinars. And those info sessions are really on fully understanding what's involved in co-op. And then if you complete those steps, then you're able to join the co-op program. So again, not something that you have to be sure that you're, applying to or getting admitted to at this point because it's available starting in second year for everybody. And that GPA that I was saying that it's based on is based on your GPA at the end of first year.
Thank you, Katrina. Um, I just want to answer Mohammed's question about the $5,000 scholarship. Mohammed, I'm not sure what you're referring to in terms of a brochure that says that refers to a $5,000 scholarship. Um, if you can email us the brochure that you referred into, we'll take a look. In terms of the entrance scholarships, I refer back to either receiving $10,000 if your GPA is above 80,000, sorry, 80%, or the 5,000 if it's over 75%. So I'm not sure what the reference to 5,000 is, but if you can share what you're looking at, we're happy to look at
And I am going to share our contact information on the next slide. So just hang tight for that.
that. Anonymous is asking about a DFL scholarship applicant. I'm not familiar with that. Does that mean anything to you, Katrina? No. So yeah, so anonymous. So yeah, so again, I'm not sure what you're referring to as the DFL scholarship. We will share our email address and other ways to connect with us. So if you can write to us separately and share maybe more information about that, and then we can answer you on that. Katrina, I'm going to defer to you for there's a question from Anonymous about the US high school
Mhm.
GPA requirement 3.7. Um, the students asking what is considered good enough and not good at all, including a range.
So US curriculum, I have to admit, always confuses me. So, not that it confuses me. US curriculum, it depends on what grade you need to pass. So, some schools require 50%, some schools require 60%. But again, I think so in those cases, the average changes. But I think the GPA usually stays the same. Um, So if your GPA, the US high school GPA requirement is 3%, is that considered? So a 3.7 would absolutely be good enough. So if you have a 3.7 on a 4-point scale, that absolutely would meet the requirements for all of our programs from the US curriculum. But again, if that's not quite where you are, don't don't panic. Just submit your documents because again, US curriculum is it's 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 just inconsistent between different schools. And so we do review each school and we do look at the grading scale from the school, and we adjust accordingly based on what it is. So I do see that there is a question um, uh, from asking if we do offer any sports scholarships. And yes, York University and Canadian institutions do offer some sports scholarships for the varsity teams. So if that is something that you're interested in, and if you're interested in joining one of the varsity teams, I encourage you to actually reach out to the team and to the coach in advance. And you can start to have a conversation with them regarding that. And then, because sometimes they will even start scouting players, like you might be able to send them some video or something like that. So it's really good to reach out to them. I think the website off the top of my head is yorkulions.ca. But if I don't have that quite correct, again, if you just, Google it, Lions is the name of the sports team at York. If you Google York U Lions, you should be able to get that. And all of the sports are listed there and the contacts for the coaching team is listed there as well.
Thank you. Layla's provided some context to the DLF scholarship. So it's a Daughters for Life scholarship. Um, Layla had to Google that to see what that is. And I can see that it's a scholarship where students coming to certain universities are eligible to apply for. Um, I still don't know who would adjudicate that scholarship, whether it's us, each institution, or whether it's the organization that's kind of running that program. Um, I recognize your name because we've spoken, I think, a fair bit over email. If you can send me an email, just a fresh email, um, regarding that, then I will come back to you with more information as to who adjudicates the award of that scholarship and when students would likely to hear back regarding that.
I I can just yeah, I can see the Q&A. So I see that there is a question about updated tuition fee discussed in the enrollment appointment. So the enrollment process, you actually will be largely doing online. And there's this whole series of steps that you can follow online, but there's places to ask questions there. However, the tuition, the actual final tuition amounts for next year should be announced by the time that you are enrolling in courses. So that information will be provided and will be linked. In terms of the scholarship, when you're offered admission, your offer of admission letter will let you know if you're eligible for any of the automatic scholarships. If you've applied for any of the other prestigious scholarships, then you are contacted about that when those are decided. Um, and then even the automatic scholarships, the actual amount gets fully determined when we receive your final results. So again, if you're joining us from like with A levels, then we don't actually get those until August. So depending on, if you're in some of these different groups, that might actually get confirmed when we get your final results. But there is information sent to you about that. It isn't just necessarily always tied directly to when you're enrolling in your courses. Okay. And then, oh, we're getting so many questions. And I'm just reading this one. I'm just reading Lin Lin's. We are studying in OSSLT as Chinese. Okay, so I'm just reading a question from Lin Lin who says, that they're studying in OSSLT as Chinese. I don't know if you maybe meant OSSD, which is the Ontario curriculum. If you didn't mean that, then I'm not quite sure what OSSLT means. But they're just asking if they need to meet the required average of 85 plus. Um, Again, it's without knowing, understanding a little bit better, specifically exactly what you're applying from. It's hard for me to answer that right now in this webinar, but we do encourage you, please do contact us directly, which again, the next slides, I'm going to give you our direct contact information. And we are very, very happy to take a look at your exact case and provide you with the exact information that you need. Okay, and then so our next question from Anonymous is applying with high school from Palestine. So the average from Palestine, again, I don't necessarily know that off the top of my head. As a general rule, our engineering program is looking for sort of an A range. And then most of our other programs are looking for B range courses. Um, but again, is Palestine on the 20 system? I do. I apologize that I'm not remembering
Yeah,
off the top of my head.
Iranis for sure. I'm not sure about Palestine either. But yeah, I'm not sure
Yeah,
myself either. We'd have to check.
yeah. But again, please feel free to contact us, again, which I will show in a second, and we can provide more specific information on that.
Thank you, Katrina.
Yeah.
I'm just going to answer Lashana's question because again, I recognize her from conversations. Hi, Lashana, thanks for joining. Um, so as an international student, so when you arrive into Canada, you will first need to obtain a SIN number. Sometimes when you land at the airport, sometimes the border officers will process you and give you a SIN number um, at, at the border when you present yourself. Um, but sometimes mostly that doesn't happen. So when you are here, once you're here, then you would just apply for a SIN number at it's called a government. It's like a government service called Service Ontario. So you can either call them, make an appointment, or you can perhaps do it online, apply for your SIN number, and then you can apply for, I mean, you could apply for on-campus jobs or jobs off-campus without the SIN number, but you wouldn't be able to work and an employer wouldn't hire you until you have a SIN number. It's probably best to get the SIN number first. But as soon as you have that, you can start applying for jobs pretty much right away when you have that. So I hope that helps.
Okay, sorry, I was starting to type a response to Lin Lin, but I'll just say, okay, thanks, Lin Lin. Thanks for providing that it is OSSD. And I think you're asking about 85%. All all of our programs are not quite as high as 85% on the OSSD scale. So engineering, for example, we're expecting is going to be in kind of the low 80s. We don't know the exact number yet, but it might be like 81, 82, but it might be about 80. And if you have a lower grade on an arts course, that shouldn't be an issue because that would be your sixth course and how we calculate the average. So it sounds like you should be fine. And our other programs will have a lower average required. Like engineering is our one that is the highest. And again, you're welcome to send us an email. And I know that we're making offers of admission to students doing OSSD in China, so we might just be waiting on documents from you. Or if we just received them, then we're just in the process of reviewing them. I'm seeing Muhammad's question about the possibility of waiving the English proficiency requirement. Yes, absolutely. Really quite a lot of the students who apply to us do not actually need to submit English proficiency. If really it's if your studies have been in English medium. So if you're joining us from secondary school, all 4 years of your secondary studies needed to be in full English medium. So not just an English class or not a partial English school. It needs to be a 100% English school to be waived. And if you have college or university studies, college is 2 years and full English medium. University is 1 year in full English medium. So if you have any of those, then you don't need to submit an English proficiency test. So, most students joining us from India, many of them are not required to submit it. Again, it just depends specifically on your school. So do check back on that website. Here, I can go back. Give me 1 second. If you want to grab, like just grab a picture or a screenshot of that URL and there's like all kinds of different options that are listed there. Yeah, if you don't need to submit an English proficiency test, you can save yourself the time and the money because they are quite expensive. So you certainly may not have needed to submit one. I know that's something that Jamil went through when he was applying. He turns out he didn't need one and he didn't realize that and he did submit it. Okay. So I'm just moving down. So the next question from Anonymous is saying, I have not landed COPR and I will land in July. Do I require a study permit? Okay, so Anonymous, if what you're saying is you've applied to immigrate to Canada, um, then in that case, if you receive your immigration papers, then you will not need a study permit because you will be immigrating. Um, In terms of paying the enrollment deposit, it will depend on the timing. If you're confident that you will have your papers in Harsh,
Yep.
I'm just trying to think if he's receiving, if he's landing in July, we'd probably recommend that you pay the enrollment deposit because you won't be able to enroll in courses if we see you as an international student until we receive that enrollment deposit. And again, it is a deposit. It counts towards your tuition. So if it starts to get into July, we would never recommend that you wait until July to enroll in your courses because students are starting to enroll in mid-May. Most students are enrolled really by like late June. So we would say I would say if you can pay the deposit earlier, then at least you would get access to enroll in courses. And then what you would need to do is to submit your paperwork, your documentation um, that you've landed. And then that changes your tuition fee status. But that $2,000 deposit would still just be deducted from your tuition. But otherwise, you wouldn't be able to enroll until either you submit your paperwork or we receive your deposit. Okay. Lots of questions. This is great. Okay, so our next question is also from Anonymous, um, from Kenya, and the average required on the KCSE exam. Yes, so if you're scoring, oh, sorry, heard you flag that you were going to take the question. My apologies.
No, no, it's okay.
Okay. Yeah, again, if you're scoring a B plus, that would meet the requirements for most of our programs. Those are strong results. Yeah, I think if I'm remembering the Kenyan curriculum properly, you do get letter grades. So when we're considering you, we're looking at those letter grades. So A's and B's are the grades that we're looking for in the courses. And if you have a B plus average, then that's a strong average. So that sounds like you're on great track to be joining us. Okay. Oh, Angela, you have a great question. So you've accepted your offer already. That's wonderful. We're so thrilled that you've chosen to join us at Lassonde. So you said that you're concerned that your official transcript is being marked as not received. Okay. Official transcript. So it is possible we either haven't reviewed your transcript correctly, but what's quite possible is that what you've submitted is not what we consider an official transcript. So if you uploaded a copy, like a picture of your transcript to your My File, then that's what's considered unofficial. So if your studies are already done and complete and you took a picture of your final documents, that's unofficial. And then we just need either, depending on where those results are from, if they were from a school, then an official transcript is sent to us directly from the school. If they're board results, then if it's one that we can check online, we just need your online verification information for us to check it officially. But again, you're welcome to send us a quick note and we can take a quick look at it. Again, maybe you did send it to us and it was mislabeled and it hasn't been reviewed yet. We're very happy to check that. And if it is something that we're still waiting on, we can be much more specific with you with exactly what it is. Yeah, and the next question is, yeah, we are recording this and we will be sharing the recording afterwards. Okay, and then Mohammed
Okay.
is asking.
I'm just gonna answer Mohammed's to with him directly because I have access to his record, so I can give him the information he needs.
Okay, all right. And then Anonymous is saying, you've paid the deposit and I'm waiting for a transcript. Oh, okay. So in this case, Anonymous, it's great that you've already paid the deposit and I hope that you've already gotten your PAL and you're well on your way to applying for your study permit. Um, Hard to remind me, I want to just talk about the York International Supports when I finish answering this question. So the deadline for submitting your, so if you're saying for your transcript, your official transcript, there are deadlines that are posted in your offer of admission letter. And for students that are joining us in September, we do have a deadline of August 15th. However, what we really want you to be doing is submitting your final official transcripts as soon as you have them available. So for students that are joining us from the CBSE curriculum, your final results come out in May. You should be submitting those transcripts to us, within a few days of you receiving them. Um, IB comes out in July, submit them when you have them. We know that A levels don't come out until August. And we know that A levels often don't come out until after that August 15th deadline. That's okay. We know you're doing A levels. We know when they come out. And all you have to do is send us, like, again, if you're doing A levels, just send us your online login information, and it's very, very quick for us to send it. So that's okay if you don't have that document to send yet. We know you don't have that. We know you're still in school. But if you are done your schooling, then you can get that ordered, and you can send that in. Okay. And oh, right. Okay. So sorry, I want to go back and say something, and then I will take the next anonymous question. So I have talked multiple times about submitting your study permit, just to let you know that that is something that York University can support you with and is very happy to support you with. So we do have immigration advisors at York University, and they do offer support services, and they generally offer drop-in sessions, like an online session like this. They're usually also about this timing of the day at 9 a.m. So if this time works for you, then that's great. They offer them weekly. Um, so again, if you ever want to speak with an immigration advisor, if you have that information, go for it. They are wonderful supports. But if you haven't found that information, just again, let us know, and we will share the link for where their availability is. Yeah. If we've made you an offer of admission, we really want to help you get that study permit. We really want you to join us. So we do have people to help with that. And then we do have a question about English proficiency. And I apologize, I failed to mention this earlier. We will consider you for admission while we await English proficiency results. So if you have strong academic record, we will offer you conditional admission with the condition that you submit the required English proficiency result. However, you are not able to enroll in courses until you have met the English proficiency requirement. So we don't have like a posted deadline for it, but it's really in your best interest to get the result to us so that you can enroll in your courses. But it doesn't hold up you getting an offer of admission or you accepting an offer of admission and thus applying for a study permit. So, if you're prioritizing your studies to get an offer of admission and you're maybe trying to prioritize when to do your English proficiency, again, we would probably encourage you to get your study permit application in first, and then you can look at your English proficiency, just keeping in mind that you're not going to be able to enroll in courses until we have the test result that meets the requirement. And again, you don't want to be waiting too long to enroll in your courses, just because the best availability gets scooped up by the people that enroll earlier. Okay. All right. Oh, one more. I was like, oh, I thought we got all the questions. Um, yes. So Abia, you've just asked, the medium of instruction at your university was in English. Can you get a waiver? We will absolutely review your documents for a waiver. So if you've already been reviewed, and we're still requiring it, you can let us know. We might just need further information on the institution being the English medium, but please do reach out and ask. Because again, if you don't need to submit it, then why go through that and spend all of that money if you're not actually required to do it? Unfortunately, like I said, there's a lot of students that just submit it because it just commonly gets automatically listed on the application. But it's always worth asking to confirm that we do still need it. Yeah. Oh, and this is a great question. Oh, sorry, I've missed a few questions there, but anonymous. Yeah, so it's just asking the email to send your transcript. First, do check your My File. because many documents you can upload a copy of it in your My File. But if you do need to send it in, Harj was typing the answer. The official York University address is study@yorku.ca. However, if you want to add our email address, which is coming up on a future slide on that, then Harj and I and our team, we can also forward it as well. Okay. Answer that. Answer that. Kenyan students, uh, I can quickly check, but if you go to this website, think that Kenya is one of the countries that is not required to submit English proficiency because the country and the education system is in English. But please do go here. There's a whole list of countries that's at that link. So do please check that.
Um, Thank you, Katrina. I'm just going to answer Abiha's question about not being billed international student and when's the last date to show their immigration status documents. Students have until kind of October to share their documents that they are they have relevant immigration status, which permits domestic tuition. So even if you, I mean, what we would recommend is you continue as you are and pay your deposit, enroll, and then you can provide your proof of PR as soon as you have it, but definitely before October, and then that'll all be switched over to domestic fee status. So it's not something you have to worry about. Don't hold off from completing the steps to enrollment and all that kind of stuff, and don't wait for your documents. Um, so wanted to answer that.
All right, so we have lots of questions here, and that is fantastic. However, we're a little bit past our time. So I think I'm just going to take one more question. But again, the following slide, I'm going to give you different ways to contact us. So please do send us your questions. We really do want to answer them. Okay, so one of the questions is we have a great question here about how does Lassonde help you with shaping and building out your career. So the York University does have what we call the Career Center, and the co-op team is sort of part of the larger Career Center. So co-op is really a great opportunity if it's something that works for you to be starting your career while you're still doing your studies. But either way, all students at York University can take advantage of the resources at the Career Center, so they can help you, with starting to prepare your resume, setting up your LinkedIn, that sort of thing, and also be helping you with job search. They do that as you're graduating, but the Career Center also has postings for things like jobs between school years and that sort of thing. All right, so again, it's great. We had so many questions and we just weren't able to get to all of them, but we really do want to answer all of your questions. So please do get in touch with us. And even if you think of things after today. So there are a few ways, just so you know, to get in touch with us. The best way is to join us in the Lassonde community, which is on Discord. All of our student ambassadors are there and they are there on a daily basis. It really is the best place to get a quick answer to your question. And also it's a good place to find out really about like what things are like and to hear from other students. And then if you have other questions that maybe our student team can't answer, they will let Harj and I know about them. You should have also been receiving some other emails about a number of virtual information sessions. We have a whole group of information sessions coming up in the next month, and then we will have more information sessions coming up a little bit more in May or so. We have a podcast as well if you want to just like learn more about us in general. if you're going to be in the area, we have lots of in-person things, but we know that you probably, if you're joining us here this morning, you're probably not coming in. But if you are going to be in the Toronto area, we do offer tours on a weekly basis, and we have some open houses coming up as well if you're coming to the Toronto area in March. Okay. But here's really the other great ways to keep in touch with us. Harge has a number of meetings that are available, so you can just go to this link here. So if you want to grab a screenshot or grab a picture of that, that you can book a one-on-one meeting with Harge. You can also reach out to Harge directly on his WhatsApp. This is the email. This is to the entire team. So this is to Harge and I and to the other members of our team. So you're welcome to email there as well. So if you need to send documents and that kind of thing. And just to let you know, this is just generally the Lassonde email address. So thank you very much for joining us today. Just to let you know that we will be emailing out a copy of the recording, well, a link to the recording of this presentation. And then, we'll also share these links here as well. But again, thank you so much. And please do reach out to us with any of your questions. We really do want to offer support and help you through the application process. And we really hope that that you will be joining us at Lassonde in September. Thanks so much.